What's up, everyone? It's Matt Mrozik, and this will be my, I'm calling it the quarter scale custom beast kit Smackdown video. Call it Smackdown if you want. Basically, I'm going to go over both of these kits and kind of give my personal opinions on both of them and everything. Marcus had asked me to do, oh, lovely. I just realized my dog went through all my trash on the floor. I'm like, why is there trash on the floor? My dog went through the trash. Marcus had asked me to post some photos of some well-known pieces next to the Beast, and I'm like, well, why not I do the Doose Beast? So yeah, it's a good comparison, being the same subject and all. And I want to take a second to kind of give just some background to how I got into the quarter scale custom kit / statue world. As many of you know, my background was painting mechs, mainly Gundam kits, and about a year and a half ago, a picture of this sculpt came across my news feed. I was like, man, that looks awesome. What is that? And can I get one? So after a lot of searching and research and stuff, I found Sheridan Doose, the sculptor, and contacted him, and you know, found out who produced it or who art directed it, and got in contact with him, and went, you know, from there, you know, found out very quickly that he'd been sold out and he's not available, out of production kind of thing. But after finding Sheridan Doose, I found his other sculpts, like his Thor, and stuff like that. So I saw the Thor, I was like, oh man, that's a cool sculpt too. Can I get one? And of course, it'd already been sold out and out of production. So that just led me to finding other. From there, I started researching other sculptors, and I found Alpha 3 and Avi, who's sculpted this guy, and you know, basically all of Alpha 3 stuff. And it sent me on this journey of trying to find some of these kits. And the first one I ever actually purchased was the Punisher vs. Walking Dead kit. Was the first one I purchased. The second was I was able to find an Alpha 3 Captain America, and the third kit I purchased was the Thor by Sheridan Doose. So those were the first 3 quarter scale kits I ever purchased. And the first one I painted was the Punisher vs. Walking Dead. The second one I ever painted was Captain America, and the third was Thor. And I was just painting these up for myself. I mean, these are cool kits. I'm going to paint them up. And I did the Alpha 3 Captain, and that kind of got me, I guess, noticed in the quarter scale statue community, which I didn't know anything about. And that, you know, as soon as I posted that, I kept getting all these messages and invites to groups and asking me if it was for sale and stuff. Like, man, this is crazy. Like, these guys are like hungry for this stuff. And so basically that was like the start of my journey into this whole quarter scale world. I found it by accident, quite honestly. I'm not a comic reader. I say that all the time. And with Gundams, I've watched some of the animes, but I'm really not a fan of them. I think they're kind of cheesy and corny. But I love the models and I love the designs, and that's what I love about these guys. I love the sculpting, I love the designs, I love the painting process and the building process. I've only ever bought one pre-paint, and he's over here, and with the sole intention to repaint it because I like the sculpt. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's Batman by Salt and Pepper, and it's actually all one piece, which is kind of, they casted that in one piece. Is crazy. So yeah, that's kind of how I got introduced to all this stuff. And then, you know, from there, my world kind of exploded just from the Alpha 3 Captain America. And then when I did the first Hellboy, then my world really exploded. And that's how I got into all this. So it was by accident, to be honest. So once I got into this world, I was like, man, I got to find one of these Doose Beasts. I can't remember how I found the first one, to be honest. I think I just posted on all the boards that I wanted one, and someone sent me a message, hey, there's one for sale. And I contacted the guy. I'm like, how much you want for it? And he told me, and I was like, I'll take it. And because I put so many want to buy posts out there, shortly after I bought the first one, I had 3 of them. And they're all spoken for. I don't have any to sell, so don't ask me. I sold one to someone because they want to paint it, and the other 2 this one is spoken for and another one's spoken for that is in my queue to paint. And if you can find this kit, it's $2K minimum shipped. I did pay less for one because it was damaged, but not much less. So that's my background and how I got into all this. This guy started it, or this Sculpt. So here I am, you know, a year and a half later from getting into all this, and I'm doing prototypes and stuff. And I have another awesome Beast piece to review. So right off the bat, this review is a little unfair because this is a prototype and this is a production casting. But as I said in my intro video to this is a pretty nice prototype casting. It's the best prototype casting I've seen so far out of the ones that I have in possession that I've done. I did last night go ahead and add a magnet to this finger and this finger. I'll show you that so he no longer falls off. I just did that just for my sanity. So I'm going to go over the two pieces. I'm going to give you my personal opinion. Everyone's got their opinion. Of course, this is all subjective. It depends on what you like. Just because you like it and no one else doesn't like it doesn't mean you're wrong. There's no right or wrong answer. There's things I love about this piece. There's things I love about this piece. There are things I'm not too hype about this piece and things I'm not too hype about this piece. So again, it's all personal preference. So I'm going to start off at the very beginning, and I'm going to start with packaging. And again, this is a little unfair because it's a prototype and this is a production piece, but this is a prototype casting, and it was packed very well. It should have no damage. Now, the way they packed it, it wasn't like custom cut inserts yet because, again, it's a prototype, but it had a somewhat custom cut insert. So like some of the fingers had a partial custom cut insert, but basically it was all padded with the black foam, and everything had its own little compartment with padding around it. It was not the production packing, but it was packed very well, no damage. This one, on the other hand, it comes in two boxes. In one box, you get the Beast. You get everything except for the desk. The desk is in a separate box. So the part that has the Beast and all the accessories is packed extremely well, no damage. And he's even got glasses. I forgot to put those on him. And these things are really fragile. There's little clear specks. They're really cool. So right there. No damage whatsoever. The desk, on the other hand, packaging absolutely sucked on this. The desk weighs about 30 pounds by itself. It's solid. At least I'm pretty sure it's solid. And the way it's packed is basically in a cardboard box. And it's not like a custom foam insert. What they did is they put in about a ½ inch of black foam all the way around it and then on top. So what happens is there's no foam padding between the side of the box and this lip. So this whole lip right here, there's no support all the way around the desk. So what happens if that box gets dropped, this lip chips off, will break off. So the one that I bought damaged had a good portion broken off. And then when I shipped it, more of it broke off, and actually the desk cracked in half. So I've got it here to repair eventually. So packing wise, this guy's the winner so far, even though it's not a production packing. The desk packing on this was absolutely shit. The desks show up damaged all the time. It's a shame because it's beautifully casted and sculpted, but man, that is, you know, especially when you find one secondhand and you're spending the kind of money on it, it hurts when it shows up damaged. And so basically, the lesson learned there is don't use the original shipper for the desk on this beast. So packing wise, this guy's winning so far, even though it's not even the production packing. Let's go to the next obvious thing, which is the Sculpt. Obviously, Sheridan Doose and Avi, both very different styles. I think this is based off a 90s version of Beast, what people are telling me. Again, this is me not having little to zero comic knowledge. And this is just, I guess this is, I'm not sure if this is based off a certain type of Beast. It kind of looks like just a Marvel, like the movie rendition of Beast to me. Sculpting wise, they're actually quite different. On the Doose Beast, we have a lot of kind of flowing fur. Almost looks like he's kind of windblown a little bit. Very tight details and everything. I can't spin him around because he's on the desk, but so the fur in general has like a tighter feel to it, and it's a little more windblown. Whereas this one from Avi, the fur is not quite as tightly detailed, and it's more of like not like it's windblown, but it's like it's just sitting on his body naturally. So for me, I actually like the fur on the Doose Beast a little bit better than on this, simply because of the tightness of it and the way it kind of flows. And it's got all these little pointy pieces that are kind of coming off the back here and the head. I can take an arm off and show you if you've never seen this kit. So you got all these kind of like little points of hair coming off the back, which just gives it a sense of motion, you know, because he is coming at you like that. So it kind of gives you that sense of his arms are moving forward and that fur being blown back as he does that. It's like, for me, I'm a sucker for a really cool cape. So when I saw the Doose Thor, I mean, man, that cape is kick-ass because it shows so much motion just by the cape. You get a sense of the motion of what he was doing, you know, raising his hammer just by the flow of the cape. So I like things that show a lot of motion or animation in the piece that kind of gives you a sense of how they're moving or how they did move. Now I do like, as far as the faces go, I lean towards the open mouth on the Avi Sculpt. On the Doose face, it's more of a snarl. It's kind of snarling at you, like back off kind of thing. This face, he's coming at you. You know, even the other face, where he's kind of just gritting his teeth, he's still telling you to back the fuck off. This one, he's coming at you, and you know, the motion of him grabbing this piece off Sentinel's hand is just, you know, he's letting you know he means business. Where the Doose Beast is just like he's warning you to back off. This guy's coming at you. So again, his posture and his pose tells you a lot about what's going on in a simple display. The way his legs are propped up on the fingers, especially with his back foot the way it is, where it looks like he's pushing forward. And it may not be able to see him on the camera, but the way it's basically just the front part of his foot, he's pushing off that finger, lets you know he's coming at you. So a lot of motion and animation in the sculpt, just in the posture of him. This one has kind of the same thing going on, but it's not as drastic. You get more of that sense of motion in the fur, kind of the way the fur is sculpted kind of gives you that sense of motion, where his posture on the Avi Sculpt is a little more animated looking. So that kind of covers the beast. Now the clothing wise, the Doose Beast wins hands down because he's got a whole suit on, and this one he's just got the pants, which is fine. It's simple, but I do like the suit and his clothing on this guy, on the Doose Beast. Just really nice, a lot of texture, a lot of detail in that. So I like his outfit better on this, and I like the gauntlets on his arms with the X-Men logo. Again, this is probably from a very specific version of Beast, so someone will have to comment and tell me what that is, because I don't know. Let's see. Let's talk about the hands and the feet. So if we look at the Doose hand, again, we got a lot of really tight fur in there, and we got some nice detail in the skin and everything, and the claws. But even though the sculpt on the Graven Labs is, I would call it a little simpler, I really like the fingernails, how drastic they are. They're a little more exaggerated. These may be a little more natural if Beast was a real thing, but I like how exaggerated these are. These claws mean business. So even though this may be a little simpler, I like the claws on this one better. And then this, like I said, the skin or in the paw of the Doose sculpt just has a little more detail. But that's, to me, is not that big of a deal. I really don't see it. Same thing on the Avi, you don't see it too much. Let's see. So face-wise, I probably prefer this one better out of all the three, because you have the switch out on the Avi sculpt. This one you don't have any switch outs. I prefer the fur on this one. I kind of prefer the pose on this one better. So again, these are all personal preferences for me. If you could kind of mash the two together, I think if you could kind of get like this posture with this fur on this base, that would be like ultimate, in my opinion. You know, kind of smash the two together. Again, they both, these are all, again, all my opinions, have some, for me, personal strengths and personal, not weaknesses, but just things that I think could be a little bit better. So I think that covers the Beast. This one you get a couple switch outs, which I personally could care less. I rather get a kit where I don't have, don't give me so many options. I don't need 4 heads. What am I going to do with the other 3 when the head's on the sculpt? I have to find a place to store it. It raises the price of if it's a pre-paint, raises the price if I'm having to hire a painter. Instead of painting 1 head, they have to paint 4 heads now. I know some guys that you add a head, it adds $100 to the paint job or $150 to the paint job. So you got 4 heads. I mean, that's $500 of paint right there just for the heads. So, you know, personally, I just give me one choice, you know, and if you want to offer a couple other heads as add-ons, not necessarily like an exclusive release of the piece, you know, do one main head, or do, as this is my opinion, talking to producers, you know, do a main head, or put out, hey, we've got 4 heads. Let's take a vote on what everyone likes. The top vote wins as far as the production piece goes. And then if people are interested in having the other heads, just sell those as a separate item, not as like a whole exclusive where the exclusive gets this head, this, and you know, that may not be doable depending on who's producing it, or you know, the factory and stuff like that. I'm not sure how that works, but ideally, to me, that would be like the ideal situation for me as a buyer. You know, give me this head right here. But if this is an option, you know, if it's a pre-paint, charge me whatever it costs. If it's a kit, charge me extra if I want to buy that one head. You know, so again, you have to, as a producer, decide, do you have enough interest to make that piece, rather than giving, in my opinion, a kit with a ton of switch outs that are maybe not be necessary. Again, that's just me. I don't care about switch outs. To me, like this, like I said, this to me is for this piece right here. This is the setup right here. Both open fist, grabbing the thing off of Sentinel's finger, because that's way more interesting than this, in my opinion. I mean, you lose the story. I mean, you lose what's going on. You do this, and now there's a story. What's happening here? He just kicked Sentinel's ass. He ripped his finger, you know, he was on his hand and he ripped his fingers off. Again, my personal preference, or my personal opinion. So I know a lot of, I know when Fushi Collector art directs, there's usually not a lot of switch outs, if any. DXA Designs, the kit I reviewed last night, none of his kits have switch outs. So basically they're like, hey, look, this is the kit, take it or leave it kind of thing, or this is the pre-paint, take it or leave it. Okay, so we got over the Beast, got over packing, got over the Sculpt a little bit. Let's talk about the base. So, in my opinion, this is the winner in the base. I mean, again, it tells a story, and that's the main fact, that it tells a story. The desk on the Doose piece, the sculpting on this is absolutely insane. It is so beautiful. The panels and the wood, it's just, I mean, Sheridan really outdid himself on this piece. You can't deny that. All this scroll work and the crest and all this stuff, it's just so beautifully done. It looks like someone in there hand carved this wooden desk. It's just unreal. That being said, this is way more interesting. Again, it tells more of a story, in my opinion. And they both have a huge presence. I mean, size-wise, they're about the same width, and even about the same height. I think I said this one was 19 inches last night, if I remember correctly. Yeah, about 19. This guy's right about, you know, 20 and a half, 21 inches. Width-wise, you got the desk, which is 18 inches. I forgot what the width on this guy was. Right at 18 inches. The Doose Beast, from the front of the desk to the back of the chair, you're going to need about 20 inches. A lot of depth on this guy. And you have to have that much depth, because if you don't have that much depth, there's nowhere to put the chair. And you have to have the chair for him to stand on. I wish I could swing this around, because, you know, the way it works is he's standing on this chair and his weight is on that chair. So it's not like this guy, where if you have, like, let's say a 15-inch deep shelf, you can have some of it hang off the front. You can't do that with this guy. You have to have that much space to display him. You don't have an option. The depth on this one, I forgot what I said it was last night. He's about 18 inches. So the Doose Beast has a little more depth. They're about the same width, about the same height. So being able to display the piece, this is easier to display, simply because the base is, you know, it's not one piece, but it's not is not dependent on having a shelf that's got the full depth, if that makes sense. Whereas the Doose Beast, you have to have the full depth in order to put the desk on it and the chair for them to stand. Another plus about this base is they both have clear resin, and they're both casted beautifully. Out of the 3 Doose Beasts I've received, each piece with the bottle, each bottle's had some sort of little imperfection in it, and it's like inside the resin, so you can't fix it unless you recast it. So like this one's got like a little inclusion, little bubble that's actually towards the top inside the resin. You can't fix that. The cups and glasses are perfect. No bubbles, no imperfections. Once these are sprayed with clear coat, they'll look like actual glass. Same with this guy. You can see where they cleaned up the mold lines and stuff. But the nice thing about clear resin, again, you spray it with clear coat and it turns to glass. And this has a light up option that you can buy a little. Marcus sent me a link to like a little changing LED that you can put in there. That's really inexpensive. You just basically put it in there and you can switch it out real easily. So it's got a light up feature, but both have clear resin. They're both casted in very nicely and well done. Going back to the base, talking about detail. So on the desk here, you got a lot of tight, intricate, carved detail. On the Sentinel, just because his hand is so big in scale, the details are bigger, but there's a lot of them there. So you got all this gear work and pipes and wires coming out. And then you got this part right here, which I haven't pinned yet, but I got some wires and stuff coming off the back there because his hand's been ripped off. So yeah, let's see, what else can I talk about? Just because I'm here, I'm going to show you how I put a magnet in. So there's a magnet here now and a magnet in there, which will keep this piece in. And then on this guy, I did the same thing. I put a magnet here and a magnet inside there, so that when I put this in, the magnet pulls it towards the hand, so now this won't fall out. Now I'm going to talk about fit a little bit, and this is a part of the area where it's a little unfair since this is a production kit. This is all done by ownage. The fit is perfect. I still say that this by far is the best resin kit I've seen. And I've seen a lot of resin kits, and I own a lot of resin kits. I've owned resin mech kits that weigh 100 pounds, have 2,000 pieces of resin, and are 4 feet tall. I don't have that anymore. I sold it because I was insane. And I've also had, so most of the Gundam kits I've built are 200 to 600 pieces, all resin, and not even close to this. Again, it's a little unfair because this is a prototype casting, but there's a few little spots that are a little bit loose. Like I'm gonna rekey this probably so it doesn't. It's got some wobble to it. Once I added magnets to these fingers, they're pretty good. I haven't pinned the legs yet, but once those get pinned and everything, those will fit nicely. And I mentioned this in my video last night that being a prototype casting, it's not 100% there yet. The hands fit well. The switch outs fit really well. The heads fit perfectly. So again, it's a little unfair since this is a final production casting and this is a prototype casting, but I can tell that even with the quality of the prototype, that the final pieces will be even that much better as they finalize things as they go into production. What else could I talk about? I don't know what this price was originally. I think, and I could be wrong on this, I think originally the kit was, because this is only offered in a kit, that's a plus and a minus. So this one is offered as a pre-paint and the kit. I can't remember how many kits they did. This one's only offered in a kit. So depending on your viewpoint, I'm a builder painter. I would, unless I really, really wanted a piece and it wasn't available as a kit, I'd buy the pre-paint and repaint it. But that's more, a repaint to me is more work than starting from scratch. So this is only offered in a kit. So there's no option of buying a pre-paint and then, being done. So that's a plus for a lot of collectors that you can get a pre-paint. You don't have to worry about hiring a painter or that extra expense of buying a kit, finding a painter. Sometimes you, like right now, I've stopped accepting kits that are being painted later. I'm out of room to store stuff. Excuse me, a drink of water. But I keep having boxes show up. When this showed up yesterday with the DXA design kits, my wife's like, "What are those? More boxes? What is all this stuff?" And I'm like, "These are prototypes and clients' kits." You know, it's like I'm running out of room. My kids' playroom is floor to ceiling boxes of statues. So unfortunately, unless the box is really small, I can't take any more boxes from clients. I just can't. I don't have room to store them. The other option I know if you guys have done this, they actually have a storage unit, and they charge their clients storage to store their kits until they're ready to paint, because, you know, I know they're expensive to ship. You know, that's a downside for everyone, unless you're I think it's Icebreaker. They ship from Canada a lot because Onage has a factory in Canada. So I don't know if they use Onage, but I know Onage has a factory in Canada. So like I've gotten stuff from DXA Design that's shipped from Canada. So when you're shipping these big guys, you know, you have a kit, which I think this was like $800 originally. It may have been less. You know, tack on, you know, 2 boxes, you know, it's probably $300 in shipping, $400 in shipping. I'm not sure what shipping will be on this guy. Looking at the box the prototype came in, I'm assuming it'll be a similar size box. It'll be, you know, to the US, from the 200 to 250 range would be my guess. Just on my experience from buying kits and stuff. So, you know, this one comes in 2 boxes, this one comes in 1. So, you know, if they try to put this one in 1 box, it'd have been way heavy, and they do dimensional weight, the shipping would have gone through the roof. It'd have been it probably would have been, you know, $1,000 just to ship it. So, you know, when you offer a kit, you know, someone's got to buy the kit, and they either have to be able to paint or have to hire a painter, and then they have to get that piece to the painter. If the painter won't accept the kit from the factory, they have to ship it to themselves and then ship it to the painter. That's an extra expense. So it gets expensive just getting the piece to the painter, and I get that. But, you know, we don't have unlimited storage, guys. Sorry. My studio is full of, I've got, let's see, I'm looking at the Superman prototype. I've got 2 unpainted Deadpools right there. I've got a So-So Cyclops, a So-So Wolverine I'm working on. I've got a Hellboy back there I'm working on. I've got the Beast prototype. I've got, you know, I just got shit everywhere. It's crazy. So back to these guys. So I think I've talked everything, you know, for the most part. I love Sheridan Deuce's style. He's got a very distinct style. Avi, I think I have a hard time really nailing his style down. I also think it depends on what people's budget are as far as like what they can afford to have him sculpt, because the more detailed, the more the sculpt cost. You know, and I don't know how that works. I haven't yet to try to hire a sculptor. I'm working with some friends to do a piece and learning what things cost and stuff. So, but you know, here they are. In my opinion, from what I've seen in my limited experience in the past year and a half of being kind of in the statue community and kit community, these are the best Beast sculpts, kits, statues, in my opinion. They're both very dynamic. They both have very good strong points. Again, it's all personal preference, guys. You know, I'll read some of these chats, and people fight over it. It's like, you're not right, you're not wrong. That guy's not right because he thinks the Doose sculpt is better, or, you know, because the desk is cooler, and that guy's not right because he likes the Graven Labs, you know, Sentinel hand. It's personal preference. Some people get so worked up over it, and I see these arguments like, you know what? No one's right and no one's wrong. It's what you like. Who cares what other people like? You know, if you want to paint your Beast purple, who cares? If you want to paint your Beast, you know, pink, that's your preference. You may get a lot of slack for it, but if that's what you like, go for it. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion. I like them both. I mean, I think they're both really great pieces. Both can be fun to paint. Completely different painting techniques and styles on these guys. Hold on, I'm getting dry mouth again. More in the bases, obviously, than the Beasts themselves. Excuse me. Still waiting to get color references from Marcus on this guy. And then I've got 2 of these in the queue for clients. And I'm not to them yet, so they haven't give me any instructions on colors or direction to go. But excuse me, my throat's dry from talking. But there you go, guys. Do I like one over the other? I can't say I like the Doose better than the Graven or vice versa. I like them both for different reasons, and like I said, I think if you could mash the two together, I think if you could use the Sentinel hand base, even though Sentinel's been used a lot lately, with kind of like the pose that Avi has, with the fur that Doose has, I think that would be like an ideal kind of mashup of the two. Again, you know, also this is the scene is different. This is a battle scene. This is like an indoor office scene kind of thing. So again, I like them both. I think they're both extremely strong pieces. They both have a lot of presence. I mean, I just love the pose on this guy. Like I said, when I first saw the initial renders, I was like, "Oh, that doesn't look very good." And it was the very beginning of the sculpt. And then as it got closer, like, oh man, when they posted the last 3D colored renders, like, dude, that's cool. Really like it. I was excited when they asked me to paint the prototype. So yeah, so there you go. That's my opinion. They're both great. I don't think one's better than the other. I think you know whatever floats your boat. If you can grab two, grab them both, man. If you can find one of these, and you can afford it for, you know, if you can find the kit, you can get it around 2K or under that shipped, you know, snag it. But there you go. That's my opinion, and I'm going to stick to it. I'll let you guys hash it out in the comments, and you guys can fight over it. I know a lot of guys have a lot of strong opinions, but again, I don't have a. I would say the Doose one has a special place in my heart simply because this is the one that I saw. This is the very first quarter scale sculpt of a statue I ever saw, and that's what kind of made me want to pursue looking at doing some of these pieces for myself, which in turn turned into like painting statues for collectors. So but other than that, I think they're both great, and I think anyone that has either of these would be really lucky to have it in their collection. I'm excited. I get a chance to paint two of these, and at least one because I got the prototype, and then I'll have my kit, which who knows whenever I'll paint that, if I ever have time. But there you go. That's my 1/4 scale custom Beast Smackdown video. Tell me what you think. Which one do you like better and why? You know, again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's everyone's personal preference and their opinion. So, as always, thanks for watching. It's Matt Morozic, and I'm done rambling on because my mouth is completely dried out, and I'm gonna go hoarse. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you later. Bye.